Welcome to the Sports Investor Podcast, where it's all about smart sports betting. Here is your host, Professor MJ.
Hey there, this is Professor MJ. I'm here today to tell you all there is to know about a sportsbook called Sports Interaction. Just to make sure you are not wasting your time, I want to kick off this episode of the Sports Investor Podcast by warning you that this bookie is only open to residents of Canada. If you are from another country, you'll have to pick a different sportsbook. But wait, I've recorded many more podcast sessions reviewing other online bookmakers, so I invite you to listen to them to help you pick one that really suits your needs and that won't steal your money.
Yes! Yes!
By the way, my updated rankings of best online bookies can be found on my website at professormj.com by simply clicking on Sportsbook Reviews in the header menu. Each one gets a grade out of 100%, and my brutally honest reviews consider many factors like trustworthiness, bonus offers, competitiveness and sharpness of the lines, number of markets and betting options, customer service, are they limiting or banning winning players, and so on. I really do exhaustive and meticulous evaluations because I strongly believe choosing appropriate sportsbooks is a key element to any sports investor's success. Sports Interaction gets an 87% grade from me, which is good for 9th place out of the 20 bookies I have appraised as of July 2017. I intend to add several others in the next few months, depending on how much free time I can find in the next few months. Let's get started on this review, and let me say a quick hello to those of you listening from the province of Alberta. I would love to do a double header someday by going to an Oilers and also a Flames game. Both cities seem to have passionate fans, and I'm sure I would have fun. Okay, so here is the full review of Sports Interaction. Enjoy! Section number 1. Quick Facts. This bookie launched online in 1997, and their offices are located in an Indian reservation in the province of Quebec in Canada. They were the very first online sportsbook licensed in North America. As mentioned in the introduction, they only accept sport bettors from Canada. Section number 2. List of pros. I did find many good things about Sports Interaction. Let me tell you about 8 advantages with respect to this sportsbook. Advantage number 1. Despite exclusively serving the Canadian market, they offer odds on a large variety of sports and leagues around the globe, including esports, darts, and beach volleyball. Advantage number 2. I only have positive comments to make about their live betting structure. Every time I log in my account, there seems to be a lot of in-play wagering going on. Their website claims they have over 200 events to bet live every day, and I don't have trouble believing them. On each game, they've got many side and prop bets. The game tracker display allows you to follow the current status of the game. Most importantly, unlike other sportsbooks that I have reviewed, I've noticed that the time elapsed between the moment you click the confirmation button and the acceptance of the bet by the bookie is fairly short. It is standard practice that bookmakers allow themselves some time before accepting live bets, which is totally reasonable, but some are abusing it. Not Sports Interaction, and I tip my hat off to them. Advantage number 3. The proposition bet selection is large at Sports Interaction, not just on live betting, but in general. From what I've noticed, they create unique player proposition bets, namely on the NHL because of the huge popularity in Canada, and that can be fun. Advantage number 4. They seem to have bonus offers all the time, which is nice. I personally got a 10% cash bonus upon making my initial deposit. The promotions vary quite a bit over time, so check out what they are currently offering and take advantage of it. Advantage number 5. This one is a key benefit to playing with Sports Interaction. Their lines are not very sharp, in my humble opinion. They are the typical recreational bookmaker, which repeatedly shades lines. In other words, these guys know in advance which teams are going to receive more action, so they set odds on such teams that are lower than the general consensus among online bookies, making gamblers pay a heavier price on those teams. For example, the Cleveland Cavaliers were doing very well during the 2017 NBA playoffs. They crushed several teams by a wide margin, so Sports Interaction began inflating lines on Cleveland as the postseason progressed. They would make them 17-point favorites instead of 15 or 15.5 in other bookies, for example. A similar observation could be made regarding the Golden State Warriors. Sharp bettors like you can take advantage of such situations when they notice it. Advantage number 6. The non-sharp lines don't stop with the shading phenomenon. I have seen several cases of lines that were really out of whack. That's a big plus if you are a savvy sports investor. Advantage number 7. The customer service responds in a timely fashion. No problem there. And finally, advantage number 8. The interface looks good and is easy to navigate. The dark blue background makes it easier to read. I really do like their website design. Section number 3. List of cons. I'm now gonna go over a list of 4 things I do not like so much about Sports Interaction. Disadvantage number 1. Winning players are not welcome. Again, I speak from personal experience. I placed bets on several sports, including a less popular league where I would regularly bet between $100 and $300. Within 2 months, I quadrupled my initial bankroll, in large part because of bets on that league, and they ended up setting a ridiculous $7.58 betting limit.
You have got to be kidding.
But that story is not limited to me. Sports Interaction is known to limit professional players. Disadvantage number 2. I've had a few occurrences of bets incorrectly graded as losses. And I also had one baseball bet cancelled because of a starting pitcher change, while I had checked the action box, which indicated I wanted the bet to be valid, no matter whom the starting pitchers would be. Those mistakes were all promptly corrected after I let them know. All bookmakers are subject to these kinds of errors. I totally get that. I just wanted to point out I witnessed several such cases at Sports Interaction within a short period of time. In plain English, it seems to happen much more often there. Make sure you check your account balance every day. Disadvantage number 3. Their betting limits are pretty low. While big sportsbooks will let you bet several tens of thousands of dollars on major sporting events, Sports Interaction won't go higher than around $3,000. This is probably enough for most gamblers, but you might find yourself feeling limited on smaller leagues or prop bets. I have seen limits of $150 on the WNBA or Major League Baseball side bets. Here's the fourth and final disadvantage. There doesn't seem to be any reload bonuses. At least I have not seen any offered over the past several months. Section number 4. Deposit and withdrawal methods. There are 4 ways you can request a payout with Sports Interaction: bank wire, instant banking, InstaDebit, and EcoPays. Let me start by talking about bank wire and instant banking. In both cases, you simply need to provide your bank information to Sports Interaction, like its name, address, its code number, its branch number, and your account number. Now, what's the difference between these two methods? I asked Kathleen from customer service, and here was her answer. Quote, "They are pretty much the same as they both will go straight to your bank account. The only difference is that a wire transfer, the funds will reach your bank account in 2 or 3 business days, and on occasion 5. But for the instant banking one, it can take up to 10 business days to reach your account." End quote. I find it strange they call it instant banking, when in fact the processing time is longer. I have personally used a bank wire to withdraw money twice. On the last occasion, I placed my request on June 15 and got the money on the 22nd. So it basically took a week or 5 business days. I experienced no problem. Things were fine, and I did not pay any fees since we are all entitled a free payout per month. What about InstaDebit? The biggest difference is you need to create an account with InstaDebit, and the only information you need to provide to Sports Interaction is your customer ID at InstaDebit. So the money goes from your Sports Interaction account straight to your InstaDebit balance. If you wish to get the money back in your bank account from your InstaDebit balance, you'll need to provide your bank information to InstaDebit, and you will get charged $2 for the transaction. That's very reasonable, but remember that bank wires and instant banking incurred absolutely no fees at all, and did not require the money to go through an intermediary like InstaDebit. As for EcoPays, it is basically an electronic wallet or e-wallet. That means you first need to deposit funds in your EcoPays account via a bank wire or your credit card. Then you can use that money to send or receive money to different sportsbooks. Such transactions to or from bookies are totally free of charge from EcoPay's point of view. That's very handy if you anticipate to transfer money between your various sportsbook accounts on a regular basis. For example, if you are doing arbitrage betting, where one account may have a low balance while another has too much money in it. You are only subject to paying fees when you are depositing in your EcoPay's account or when you want to withdraw back into your bank account. That's a payment method I like, and I invite you to take a look at a quick tutorial and video tour I have set up for you about EcoPays so that you see how it really works. Just go to professormj.com/pages/EcoPays, which spells ECOPAYZ. So again, professormj.com/pages/EcoPays, or check the show notes for the link. In case you are confused and don't know which method is best for you, let me try to clarify a little bit. Just answer the following question. Suppose you have opened an account with a few sportsbooks, things have gone well, and now you wish to withdraw some money from one of the accounts. What will you want to do with that money? I see two possible answers. A. You want it back in your bank account because you won't need it anymore for your sports investments. Or B. You want to be using it to open a new sportsbook account or perhaps to reload one where its balance is running low. If your answer is A, then go for bank wires. Forget about instant banking, since it's taking longer while being the same thing. If your answer is B, then InstaDebit or EcoPays are your best options. I do suggest EcoPays, but InstaDebit is also fine. Again, you can visit professormj.com/pages/EcoPays for details. Let me quickly end this section by mentioning some methods for depositing at Sports Interaction that won't work for payouts. Credit cards, debit cards, instant e-checks, PaySafe cards, EntroPay, and iDebit. Section number 5. Player Experiences. Let me now tell you 3 stories about user experiences with Sports Interaction. Story number 1. I'll kick off this section with a personal anecdote. I had an unpleasant experience with them upon making my first deposit with them. I wanted to deposit $500 by using PaySafe card. But since the maximum value of such cards is set at $250, I had to buy a couple of them at the convenience store. At that time, Sports Interaction was offering a 10% bonus. I can't remember what the maximum was, but it was well above the amount I was depositing, so I was supposed to get a $50 bonus. Since I had 2 cards, I was worried they might apply the 10% bonus only on the first one. I had the presence of mind to go to the live chat before processing the deposits to ask the representative about that. She said the bonus only applies on the first deposit, so I would only get $25, and she supposedly, quote, could not do anything about it, end of quote. I thought the rule was crazy. It was clearly just one deposit that had to be made in 2 separate steps because PaySafe card forced me to buy 2 cards. So what did I do? I bluffed. I told the customer representative, Alright, so I'll make a $250 deposit with you, and I'll simply use the other card with another bookmaker. All of a sudden, just like magic, she was indeed able to do something about it, unlike what she had said a few minutes earlier. I made the two $250 deposits and got my $50 right away. Here's my analysis. I have been lied to many times by several sportsbooks over the past 15 or 20 years, and I have still not gotten used to it. I hate it as much as I did when I first started out. She clearly knew she was lying to me when she said there was nothing she could do about it. Come on, why are you ruining the company's reputation just to save $25? By the way, I might sound like I'm blaming the representative, but I'm aware it must be the bookie's policy to act like this. Story number 2. A player started a thread on covers.com asking for a sportsbook accepting Canadians and taking bets over $1,000 on team totals on in-play NHL games. One guy made the following comment pertaining to Sports Interaction. Quote, Sports Interaction is a very good choice for dog betting in various sports. Customer service not the best, but they pay. Will cut your limits or boot those who win too much. End quote. Another poster followed up by saying, quote, Sports Interaction is good for some things, but yeah, they can have some brutal low limits sometimes. End quote. Here's my analysis. As mentioned earlier, Sports Interaction is not very kind to winning players. My own experience and many posts found on online forums confirm that information. Story number 3. One guy sitting on a big account balance at Sports Interaction started a thread on covers.com asking whether he should be worried about withdrawing money from that sportsbook. Here are 3 answers that were provided. 1. Quote, My experience is that if you accept their entry bonus, you won't see your money again. End quote. Number 2. Quote, They're not a good book. I experienced many slow payouts and left them years ago. Just play with Pinnacle and you'll be fine. End quote. Number 3. I've withdrawn from Sports Interaction a few times. Most I ever did at one time was $9,900. After registering your documents with them, which only takes a few minutes and only has to be done once before your first withdrawal, I had no issues getting my money wire transferred right into my bank account in just a few days. Only reason I did not try a higher amount is because I believe $10,000 is the threshold before things get reported to the CRA, the Canadian Revenue Agency. End quote. Here's my analysis. We have a mix of good and bad comments about Sports Interaction's payouts. I have personally withdrawn money from them and had no problem whatsoever, so my final assessment would be that you should be fine. But I'll admit that I don't feel like my money is as safe there as it is with sportsbooks that are in the upper tier, like Pinnacle, William Hill, BetOnline, Bookmaker, and Intertops. Section number 6. Bottom line. There's a lot to like about Sports Interaction. In terms of bet offerings, they are top-notch, whether pre-game, in-play, and unique prop bets. Most of the time, Whenever a sportsbook has lines which are generally not super sharp, it tends to be less trustworthy. In this case, we have a brand that is well established and has a proven track record, so that's not a problem. Although I did find a few complaints online, but not that many. And yet, smart sports bettors will be able to spot weaker lines and take advantage of them. However, betting limits eventually get significantly lowered for such players, so enjoy the ride while it lasts. That's it for my in-depth review of Sports Interaction. I hope you enjoyed it, and I invite you to check out my other sportsbook evaluations at professormj.com. You can also go to the Contact Me page for details on how to sign up to my mailing list or to join my friendly Facebook group, whose 500 and plus members are nice sports investors like you. Come participate in my prediction contests I run from time to time, where you can win cash or prizes, on top of all the useful information related to sports betting that I provide to my followers. Thank you very much for listening. It was nice talking to you. This is Professor MJ saying so long.